Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. Hi, I'm 42 male. I have a wife and 2 children and my mom stays with us. My dad died 3 years ago. My dad has a brother named Seth, 68 male. He is 2 years younger than my father. When my grandfather was alive, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. I was around 12 at the time. So my father, mother and I moved in with my grandfather to take care of him. My father gave up his job and became my grandfather's full-time caregiver while my mom went to work. Because of the financial crunch this caused us, it was decided by my grandfather that his house will go to my dad. Seth agreed to this as well, as he lived in a different city and did not take care of my grandfather. 2 years in, my grandfather's condition worsened. I watched my father struggle every day taking care of my helpless grandfather, who by now could not remember any tiny detail. My uncle Seth would come home once a month and spend an hour or so with my grandfather. Soon after this, my grandfather passed away. I had just turned 15. The funeral was completed and the lawyer had come to read my grandfather's will. To our shock, we found out that in the will, the house was left to Seth. My dad, mom and I were shocked. Seth for some reason wasn't, and we figured out why. On one of his visits to spend time with my grandfather, Seth had manipulated him into getting the house in his name. My dad and Seth had a heated argument. Seth said, "Oh, you don't deserve anything." When my dad told him that he had done nothing for my grandfather, he threw a few $100 notes on my dad's face saying, "Keep that was the funeral expense." My dad was so mad and humiliated, he filed a police case to fight it in court. However, it turned out that the lawyer was in on this with Seth and made sure there were no loopholes. 3 weeks after the funeral, my dad, mom and I were homeless with no prospects. We had to start from scratch. My dad struggled to find a job and my mom had to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. But somehow we managed. I managed to finish school, get a college degree and bought a house for my parents. We currently live in that house. 3 weeks ago, I got a call from an unknown number. I picked it up when the person on the other line said, "Hello." I immediately recognized the coarse voice. It was Seth. To be honest, I wanted to cut the call, but I said hello back. He inquired about me and my family and apologized for not keeping in touch. I asked him what he wanted. He said he wanted to come visit us. I told him that there was no need for that and was cutting the call. That's when he said he was also diagnosed with Parkinson's. I nearly chuckled, thinking karma had bitten him in the ass. But the dear man Seth had bigger plans in mind. He said as he has no children to take care of him, he wanted to move in with us because my mom and I apparently already knew how to take care of a Parkinson's patient and hence had the right experience. I was shocked. I immediately said no and cut the call. Am I the a-hole? Update. My uncle called me a few times more and I didn't answer. He somehow got hold of my mom's number. My mom and he had a huge argument over the phone. He called my mom a selfish brute because apparently we took care of our grandfather only because we knew we would get the house. Apparently that's why he made sure we didn't. My mom asked him to leave us the F alone. Anyway, now he intends on joining an old age home. Good riddance. You're not an a-hole, OP. Your uncle deserves nothing from you or your parents. He betrayed your father. It wasn't fair how he went against the initial agreement just because he could. He made sure your father got nothing even though he gave everything for their father, while he was free to live life how he wanted without the burden of taking care of their father. Your dad deserved that house and I'm glad you've been able to buy him a home. Continue to live your life. Your uncle deserted your family first. He doesn't get to come back into your life just because of his selfish reasons. Story 2. My 56 male's wife died at the young age of 51 from a car accident. I was in deep mourning for about a year after her death. I met my new girlfriend, C, 43 female, around January. C was the one who made me laugh for the first time after my wife died. She is smart as hell, 3 Ivy League degrees, has a dark sense of humor that I love, a terrific cook, and an overall amazing woman I can imagine spending the rest of my life with. She is also on the heavier side, a fact that becomes relevant later. I have 2 children, E 25 male and A 19 female. They were well aware that I had gotten a new girlfriend before I first introduced them to C this summer. She got along immediately with E, but A was very standoffish. After that initial meeting, I asked A if there was something wrong, but she denied it. C made a few more attempts to get to know A, but they were all rudely rejected. E and A both came home for a Thanksgiving dinner. I asked A to please be polite during the meal, since she has always been rude in her interactions with C, even though C has been nothing but gracious in return. The dinner was going as well as it could have for the first 10 minutes, although I noticed A glaring at C the entire time. When C went to grab her third helping of mashed potatoes, A said, "Don't you think you've eaten enough, you fat pig?" C started sobbing immediately and ran off into the bedroom. I felt my face turn red and told A to get out. About half an hour after A left, I texted her stating that I would no longer pay her tuition unless 1. She apologized to C, and 2. C accepts her apology. A must have assumed that I was bluffing because she instead doubled down on her behavior during Thanksgiving dinner. I then logged into her university tuition payment website, cancelled next semester tuition, and sent A the screenshots. She called me crying and begging me to reconsider, but I told her my mind was made up. Everyone sucks here, OP. Obviously, your daughter sucks for how rudely she was speaking to your girlfriend. But my God, punishing your daughter by not paying her tuition seems like it's overboard. Obviously, your daughter is still grieving over the loss of her mother. Yes, she probably needs to talk to someone about that. But your reaction was way harsh towards your daughter. It's not an acceptable punishment to an action that's obviously wrong. The punishment doesn't fit the crime, so to speak. I think you need to have a serious talk with your daughter either way. Now for some comments. Everyone sucks here. Daughter is likely still mourning from the loss of her mother, but went way over the line. However, she's now in a position where she won't be able to get a job and save enough to make it through school, thus condemning her to either drop out or take massive loans. Both options seriously negatively impact her future and likely would prevent her from maturing beyond the person she is now. My mom died suddenly in a car accident 4 years ago. By the 1-year point, I was barely getting my head above ground from the shock and grief, and I was nowhere near ready to see someone in my mom's seat on a holiday. I would have sucked it up a bit better than A, because I'm a lot older than she is, but I would probably have been just as cold and unreasonably angry internally. 19 is young, and you're her remaining parent. Don't punish or shut her out for being in pain. Of course, she was wrong to talk to your girlfriend that way, but she may come around to a true apology and acceptance on her own if you handle this with love and compassion, instead of withholding and anger. Everyone sucks here. Something more is undoubtedly going on between C and A. You need to find out why A has such strong dislike of her and reacted so strongly. A is probably still deep in mourning for her mother. You've managed to put your grief behind you, but the process is much slower for some people. Seeing C in her mother's place at Thanksgiving was probably very hard on your daughter. That doesn't excuse her rudeness, but it might explain it. Secondly, you've made your daughter's tuition dependent on C accepting her apology. As the fees are something between you and your daughter, that's not appropriate, especially as C seems to be the issue here. Story 3. I'm getting married and my 19-year-old sister is being ridiculous. She is very jealous of the attention my fiancé is getting and trying to upstage her and compete. This all started when I proposed. I saved for a while because my fiancé is a gorgeous girl and I wanted the ring to be really special. When we first saw my mom, she was showing it off and my sister got quiet and then left the room for a while. She didn't compliment it or say congratulations. At the next gathering with extended family, the ring got a lot of attention and my sister seemed sad. My mom ended up buying her a diamond bracelet with some sapphires. When I commented, my mom said it just seemed fair because she has my stepdad to buy her jewelry, my fiancé has me, and my sister has no one. Then my fiancé invited them both to go wedding dress shopping. She said my sister was sulky at the appointment and kept saying she didn't feel good and laying her head on my mom. My fiance called my mom at some point to talk about colors and the family coordinating. And my mom said my sister already has a dress she couldn't wait and showed us a very sparkly, very beaded lavender gown. My fiance told me she is familiar with that designer and my mom dropped some serious cash. At the bridal shower, my sister was sulky again and refused to eat. So my mom took her and left her to buy some frozen yogurt because she was dizzy. The final straw was the bachelorette party. My sister and mom were invited to the dinner before the big party and my sister wanted a $200 lobster. My mom told her that was rude since my future mother-in-law was paying and then asked my mother-in-law if it would be okay if she, my mom, paid for my sister's dinner and bought her the lobster. The bridesmaids were lightly teasing my sister about how she is going to have to be my fiance's slave the day of. And my mom snapped at them very harshly that my sister doesn't have to do a thing. My sister ended up yelling that it is dumb that we are having so many parties, engagement, shower, bachelorette and wedding. So pretty standard, I think. She said we don't need any of those parties and it is just an excuse for attention. My fiancé was hurt and shocked. I just found out that my mom threw a party for my sister the weekend after the bachelorette. She actually rented a beach house for my sister and her friends and paid for hair and makeup. To me, that is crazy. I called my mom and we got into it. I told her she is enabling my sister's toxic jealousy and if she keeps it up, she won't be invited to the wedding. My mom didn't say much, but she sent me an angry text about how she has handed so much to me and no one ever did that for her. She worked for her money and I will not tell her what to do with it. She can light it on fire if she wants to. I haven't responded. She also thinks this is fine and normal because my sister is going through a breakup. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. Your mom is right and she can spend her money how she wishes. She clearly chooses to use the money to buy love from your sister. Your sister is throwing temper tantrums because things are not about her and your mom enables it 100%. I wouldn't invite them to the wedding because I guarantee your sister will pout and sulk until she gets whatever she is after. And your mom will ignore your day and focus on your sister. You and your other half deserve to have the day be about you, not a 19-year-old girl who was never taught to share the spotlight. Not the a-hole. Your sister is acting greedy and selfish. The very last line you wrote about her breakup mitigates her behavior a bit. But no more than that. If she loved and respected you, she would suck it up and be happy for you during wedding events and cry in private. Your mom has probably enabled this spoilt brat behavior. In any case, that ship has long sailed, and you can only deal with the present and the near future. The issue is that your sister's brat act is headed straight for your wedding day, and it's got nothing to do with mom's money. That's hers to spend. The question is, can you talk to your sister about her behavior? That's the problem, not money. If you can't straighten this out, you have the right to uninvite her because she will ruin a day you can never get back.